Stephanie Dobson is here with us again this week. Stephanie is a lawyer and mediator at Hanka Divorce Law and Mediation. We're continuing the theme this month of negotiation process. There's always so much involved with divorce and separation. So Stephanie, today we are talking about divorce mediation. So tell me a little bit about what divorce mediation is.
Sure. So as our viewers probably know by now, all of the processes that we do in our office are out of court resolution processes and focus. So today, when we focus on divorce mediation, this is a process where one neutral mediator, being me, will help both parties to resolve their issues surrounding separation and divorce. So typical topics like parenting, division of assets and debts, and your finances. So it's really a four-step process. So first we go through your initial consultation, and that's really where I get your story and I get an understanding of the foundation of what's going on, what arrangements you've made already, and what you need to make. Then we do a series of joint meetings, and those meetings usually involve the mediator and both parties, where we actually uncover and discuss all of the issues and actually come to resolution on all of those topics. Then we draft the final separation agreement, and then each of you will need to get your own lawyer to get what's called independent legal advice on that final agreement.
How do families know if mediation is the way that they should be going, Stephanie?
Well, I've got a few statements that I've kind of predetermined to help you, sort of a bit of a checklist of sorts that you and your former spouse can go through to see if mediation might be right for you. Now, the first one, the key is that both spouses are engaged. So both spouses are willing to actually come to that mediation table. Then next, you might say things like, I want to avoid the court deciding my future and my children's future. My children's needs are my priority above my own needs. I want to focus on the future, as we know with resentment and distaste with one another as spouses. Sometimes we focus too much on the past. So in mediation, we really focus on just that go forward point. I want to reduce conflict between me and my spouse. I want quick and easy resolution. Usually our processes are somewhere between 2 to 6 months to resolve. I want costs to stay as low as possible, and that comes because you're involving as few professionals in that negotiation process as possible. So just the one mediator. And because this is the key, I would say that because a lot of times mediation does not involve lawyers, you'll need to be comfortable that with the support of the mediator, that one neutral person, you believe that you're able to make yourself heard and understood.
And you kind of mentioned it in your last answer there, Stephanie, but do lawyers have to be a part of mediation?
Well, there's two different ways that we do mediation. So one I call lawyer assisted mediation, and that's where lawyers will be involved as part of the process, and lawyer unassisted mediation. So when we look at these two pieces, lawyer assisted versus lawyer unassisted, so lawyers may be involved in different ways during mediation. So for example, you might want to meet with your lawyer in a separate meeting outside of a mediation session. So we've had session 1, we're about to go to session 2, and you say, I really just want to check things over with my lawyer, or I need some more information or advice on such and such a topic. You could certainly bounce things off your lawyer and just have meetings in between sessions. You can also use your lawyer as a sounding board. So you may say, I'm not really sure of what I should be doing or what I should be looking for. Can you help me with some ideas? Or you can actually bring your lawyer to a session itself. And that, of course, we want to try to keep mediation as balanced as possible. So if one party is going to bring their lawyer to a meeting, we usually try to get the other lawyer to come to a meeting. Now, to sign that final agreement, depending on the subject matter of the agreement, a lawyer's signature may actually be required. So for example, with property division in Alberta and Saskatchewan, you need a lawyer to make that agreement legally binding. Now that means absolute 100% line in the sand, no going back. After today, after my signature, my lawyer's signature, we won't go back. There's other topics that don't actually need a lawyer's signature. So sometimes it will depend on the topics as to whether you need that lawyer.
So how do you get started in this process, Stephanie? I know it seems daunting for some people, but as we've talked about before, it doesn't have to be. So how do you get started?
Yeah. So one of the things we know is that you'll really never know what that process actually is until you go through it. So certainly you can look into it as much as possible. But you need to actually do it to really understand. So one of the first things I recommend is before you talk to any mediators or any firms is to do your research. So on our website, for example, we have a ton of resources with respect to what is mediation, how does it work, how do I know if it's for me? You can also, in our case, you can call and talk to a member of our team about the mediation option. So we give you lots of information to help you to decide whether this is workable for you. Once you've talked to our staff members, then you actually get booked in with me for what we call our free 5-minute call. And that call is specifically about process. So I won't be talking to you about what your actual situation is. I actually just talk about, do you know what mediation is? Is this a process that's right for you? Because I don't want people coming in and spending money on a consultation, which is the next step, and waiting for that consultation if they're really not sure if that's going to be the process for them.
All right, Stephanie. Well, great information as always. Thank you so much for chatting with us, and we'll be back again next week.
Yeah, thanks, Stacey.